today in Woburn. I'm very excited today because we have an update with Mayor Scott Galvin, but we also have two really incredible local women with us today. We're going to talk about their Boston Marathon training and the causes that they're running on behalf of. So super excited because I can't run across the street, let alone run through a Boston Marathon. So I have ultimate respect for that. And I'm really excited for them to talk a little bit about how that's going and how we as a community can support them. Welcome, Scott.
Good to be here, Samantha.
I love it. I have to tell you, it seems that we're getting so many great suggestions from our viewers about questions and guests and ideas. And so I want to thank them for continuing to do that because it really helps shape what we talk about, Scott, and who we have on the show. So I'm excited to have that. I thought today we could start with kind of a really positive update. I've been driving by the new fire station and it looks like a building is forming. Like this is like big progress, things happening there.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up some speed. They've got the steel is finally pretty much all erected, and they're starting to build in the wall. So we should start seeing some more of the trades that get the important inside work done. So we're a little behind schedule. We contractor had asked for an extension, which we granted to them to the end of October. So it's we're looking the first week of November, the building should be up and running. So it's exciting. It'll be an exciting time.
Super exciting, and not surprised with supply issues and staffing challenges and things. I'm not surprised it took us a little bit longer, but we're well on our way. And for those who are curious, I noticed the website has some really beautiful renderings. Maybe it's been there before. I just noticed it this week with the fire station. So people are curious what it looks like. They should go take a peek. It looks gorgeous.
It's a good update for people who do want to follow the weekly progress. We put the progress reports in from the meetings, and as you see the pictures, we try to update them every week with progress with drone shots. So it's a nice touch, and it keeps people. We'd like to do it more for some of our sites. This is something we're starting to want to become more accustomed to. When we have projects, we want to have them on the website so people can follow them and know what's actually happening.
I love it. It gives us a lot of things to look forward to because these are big projects that take a long time. I know when I built my addition, it felt like forever. It wasn't. They did an incredible job, but the thing that kept me going was every day walking outside and seeing whatever was done that day or that week, making movement. So that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about another project that I know hasn't really started in earnest yet, but we haven't talked about in a little while, the Plimpton School. We were waiting for a whole bunch of things to happen to be able to sort of make progress there. Any news that we can report on?
Not anything new, Samantha. Unfortunately, I don't have anything new to give, but we will certainly, keep you posted on this program. But we still are working on, as I said, the digitization and trying to get some of the documents out of there and get it done. But it will be done.
Okay.
There's no doubt. It's just not going as quickly, I know, as neighbors would like, but it will be down.
It's happening. Good.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear that. In the new year, one of the things I always looked at is we went to pull out to see if it was recycle week, because you would think, having lived here as long as I did, that we would know what it was recycle week and what wasn't. But still, every week we feel the need to double check and make sure that we're correct, because somehow we create an awful lot of recyclable and trash in my house. And I realized my flyer was outdated. So I went to the website and I saw it was there and I just printed down a copy, which is super convenient. But I also know the Board of Health has physical ones. Do you know if those are available yet or not?
I'll look into that. I think they do a printing. They probably either do a printing at the beginning of the fiscal year, which is July. They should have some still left over. I'm not sure, but I will definitely, I'll get that answer and have that for you next week.
Awesome. That would be great. In the meantime, it's available on the city website. So yeah, we especially with that wind, you don't want to put anything out that's not necessary, right? Because in fact, my son came in yesterday. He looked out the window and he goes, "I'll be back." He goes out with shorts and a t-shirt, of course, because that's who he is. And he comes running back. I said, "What was he?" He says, "Well, the trash barrel was down the road." And I said, "Okay, no problem." And he brought the cover for it. And I clearly had been run over. It was like just completely flat. I'm grateful nobody got hurt. We didn't catch it in time to see that. So definitely a windier day we had earlier this week. So I want to talk a little bit about COVID testing. So we've had some activity happening there. Someone mentioned to me that there were test kits at City Hall. Is that available for certain city employees or?
Test kits, we gave test kits. One of the things we bought test kits for city employees, city and school employees. And that's one of those things that it's reimbursable by FEMA. So if you're doing it, it's for safe openings of public buildings. So we were able to get those kits because, the requirement is that they're for openings of public buildings. So we thought it'd be a good idea to give our employees, particularly with the way COVID numbers are going, we thought it would be good to give them test kits, which, they get a test kit every week and they can use it to test. So that's where they are now. They're for city employees. But as you know, we have been doing testing. We're not going to do it this week, but we did testing 4 weeks in a row before Christmas. The numbers on the testing are starting to tail off a little. We're just under 600 tests we did last week. So, this week we plan on doing a vaccine clinic for 12 and up, and also a booster clinic. So that'll take the place of testing. And those rapid tests are, they're pretty hard to find these days, but they're going to be in big supply I would say within the next week or so with, the push from the state and the federal government. But, right now our tests we're distributing to city employees to make sure we can continue operating, municipal buildings, police, fire, and also schools. So that's where they're at now.
Good. Thank you for that update. I think that's helpful information for us to have.
Yeah.
Rumors get started and you don't want people showing up to City Hall asking for test kits. So thank you for clarifying who they're for, and those folks know how to get a hold of them. How are our overall positivity rate? And probably more important than that, how are we doing in terms of hospitalization? Last I looked at, the numbers in hospitals looked fairly stable, but I haven't looked in a little while.
I'll speak first to the local numbers, and like, other cities and towns, our numbers are high. And just to put it in perspective, over the past week alone, we have, they do it on a 2-week average, Samantha. The week before we had which was very high, 1,000 cases over a 2-week period. This week it's 2,000. So we've doubled.
Wow.
The number of cases we've had. And you put that in perspective, that's based on PCR testing that's reported to the state. There are so many other people who go unreported or take the rapid test, and those don't make it into the numbers. So, these numbers are really, really, really high. Our positivity rate is 25%. That's if I was on here last year telling you our positivity rate was 25%, we'd be, I say, more than shocked. But right now it seems anyway that this variant, the Omicron, is much milder, and it's not uncommon that all 5 of us, I'm counting Jennifer too, and Lauren, 6 of us, all of us probably know multiple people in our family or close friends who have got the COVID in different degrees. Some people may feel flu symptoms, and some just a minor cold. So I think that's, and it seems more promising that the symptoms and the severity of this Omicron have gone way down. And you had mentioned it, how the hospitals, they are filling up. We're getting a magnitude of more cases, but we're still, when you talk to people in hospitals, there still is capacity. But it's getting up there, and I think that from what we're hearing and what we're seeing, the numbers have to start going back down the other way.
Okay, good. Thank you for that update. And it's good to keep an eye on those nurses and doctors and hospital staff who we know are working hard to make sure everybody stays as healthy as possible. So good to hear that. Last little thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, the same thing is, the message is really just keep, the people aren't getting vaccinated. They need to get vaccinated. And, our rates, Samantha, our vaccine rates are pretty good. They're not jumping off the page. We've got 83% of our population that has at least one, and 74% fully vaccinated. So, every city and town could do better, and all of us, everybody needs to. I know, I've had my booster, and I think everybody needs to get vaccinated and get their booster. It's what we need to do to control this. And all you hear is the people who are vaccinated have much, much milder cases. So my message really is, if you haven't been vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you haven't had your booster and you're eligible, get your booster.
Yeah, and thank you for making that available through the city for those who haven't found it in other ways. Really important point, I think. So, and we know that it is a disruption, and there's lots of people who are short-staffed, and there are people who are not well, and there are lots of people who have mild symptoms and recover fairly quickly. So hopefully we can all do our part. And if you're sick, stay home. And if you have not gotten vaccinated and can medically, that's the best thing that we can do, as Mayor Galvin says. I want to talk about, I'm actually just taking a quick look. I'm old, Scott. Like, I'm looking at my notes and I can't see it. I got to like pull it further and bring it closer and take my glasses off. And the lighting in here is awful today. But I did have one other thing that was important. I want to make sure I didn't forget. And that is, we do have a special election next week related to the vocational school funding. We talked about it before, but I just wanted to remind people that absentee ballots are available if you go to City Hall to do that or request one, because it is a limited election hours set, not by us, of course, but by the school system. And we want to make sure everybody who wants to vote has an opportunity to do that. So if those hours don't work for you, there's a mechanism that's in place right now.
That's a good point. Yep.
Awesome. Anything else that you wanted to touch on today?
Just to, we've been talking about PFAS, the water rebate program, which I know you and I spoke about last week. It's going well. Applications are coming in, and we're approving the ones that submit the documentation that's required, which is pretty basic, straightforward, and it's going well.
Good. Excellent.
In any questions, people could either call my office, the water department, or much easier, jump online, because there's a simple link on to click on and file for the abatement the rebate if you qualify.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We do have some questions. I've been sending out the episode we did with Carol a few weeks ago, because a lot of people were asking about sort of the delay in testing, and that was a really great, helpful episode. I think we talked about a lot of those things. So if you do have questions about that and haven't seen that episode, definitely go take a look at it.
Right.
And it answers a lot of the questions about why we don't yet have December full data yet, and what the status of things are and what we should be doing. So
December actually just did come in, so that's on the city's website. Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, little still slightly elevated, so we'll be sending out letters sometime mid-January.
Okay.
Actually, it'll be early February after we present to the city council.
Thank you. So yeah, so definitely take a look, because there is a delay, as Scott is describing to us, from when communication comes out, and it's not for a desire of not being transparent. There's all these sort of protocols and process that need to happen. So for those of you who are, don't wait for the letter, go look at the data. It's now available on the site, and definitely we've had a lot of questions answered on this show, but if you have new questions we haven't answered, drop us a note, call the water department, look at the website, all the places where we can get that kind of information.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thanks, Scott, for joining us as always.
Okay, enjoy it. Congratulations to the two runners, and I'm going to stay on. I'll just turn my screen up, and I'll listen to your stories. Oh,
I love it. I'm so glad. So, Corinne, let's start with you. Welcome. I'm very excited for you to be chatting with us. You are taking on a Herculean task, the Boston Marathon. It's a ton of work. Tell us a little bit about what's motivated you to do that this year.
Right. Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, I don't know. Something came over me this year. I've always wanted to run the Boston Marathon, so it's kind of one of those life goals, and I put on the back burner when I had my kids who were 6 and 9, and my daughter is in Mrs. Dionne's class at the Malcolm White. But yeah, so I've always loved like the grit and the excitement, the spirit of Boston Marathon, and as a spectator. And I've always been a runner. I think I was running the Feeney 5K, and Mayor Galvin was next to me one of the races. Like, I'm just, I'm one of those crazy people that, like, for stress relief, I go for a run.
You beat me too.
Oh, I
I
like
don't know.
that.
I think your
One of
whole
those.
house was running. Are they all runners? All the
Yeah, they all run us too. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm next to the mayor. But
I
yeah,
think
that's
you beat
fun
me.
with
Sportsmanship. I like it.
It's yeah, so I've always loved running. And then one thing I realized too about like, it's so cool that like we're all females. And the thing that in 1967, some of you might know that Catherine Switzer ran the marathon. She wasn't supposed to run, women weren't allowed, and she was like shoved out at the finish line, but she still made it. And really, it was 1972 when women were officially allowed to run. It's not even that long ago. And then when I think about it, that's 50th anniversary. So this is 50 years since women have been allowed to run the Boston Marathon. So yeah, I think it all came together when I know I'm jumping ahead, but when Special Olympics accepted my application and I just like put it all together. So yeah, it's a big undertaking, the training and the fundraising, because it's through a charity, because I'm not that fast. But
So let's talk about, so for those who don't know, there's two ways to get a number for the Boston Marathon. One is to do a number of races that qualify you, so that completes and a race time that qualify you to enter the race. One of the other wonderful things that the Boston Marathon does is open it up to runners who may be newer to the sport or don't have lots of experience running marathons and big race times, through fundraising efforts and sponsored by an organization. So Corinne, you talked about the Special Olympics. Tell us about why that's such a good, great, important cause to you, and what it's like being on their team.
Sure. So I have a younger sister with Down syndrome. She was born when I was a teenager, and she has done Special Olympics bowling. And she also, like, Woburn Little League has the Challenger League, which is also for kids with special needs, and it has peers and buddies. She's done that since she was a kid, and she's 31. They still, even adults do it. And that's not through Special Olympics, but just that has always had, Special Olympics always had a special place in my heart. And then I've coached Special Olympics skiing, and that was heartwarming, and it made me be a better skier because I had to keep up with them. And,
Love it.
so it's for individuals with intellectual disabilities, to allow them to compete, to be part of sports, to be part of a community. So it's very inclusive, and a lot of times people with intellectual disabilities are getting excluded in some ways from different things, and not being able to do things. Even the label disability says that they're not able, but Special Olympics is inclusive, and they have something called unified sports too, that I'm trying to get at the high school, because I'm a health and phys ed teacher, the high school I am. So unified sports brings peers in with people with special needs. So, and then they allow them to do sports, like competing through the high school. So as you can tell, I love Special Olympics. It's a great charity. So I'm super excited to be part of it.
So it's like you signed up to do this crazy race that's like super intense, and you got to really train for months. And then the worst weather we can imagine for winter hit, and it's icy and windy and cold. I'm not blaming you for our bad weather, but I am curious how you're managing to train in the weather conditions that we have.
I mean, I don't know how Karen feels about it, but like for me, I love the cold weather. So even on Sunday, like I layered up, and then like it was like 5 degrees out, and I was like taking layers off, because your body just warms up. You don't really need too many layers. It's just, that was a 10-mile run. So at the end of it, I needed to put some layers back on, because you're sweating and you get cold. But it's the snow and ice that's a problem, because I've, a couple times I've like slipped, and then I have to like make sure I'm in a safe spot and I have good shoes. And so the snow and ice can be tricky. I'm thinking of getting those little grips for the bottom of the sneakers. I don't have those yet.
That sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your motivation and for getting us excited. There's no risk of me ever running a marathon, but I do makes me want to go out on my treadmill and move around a little bit more. So mission accomplished that way. In the meantime, we would love to be able to support you and your fundraising and for the Special Olympics. How can people get involved and connect with you and make donations or share your fundraising programs?
Oh, sure. Yeah, when we take on this, sometimes some of the organizations are 5,000 or 7,000. Special Olympics of Massachusetts asks for a $10,000 commitment. So it is a big undertaking. I actually spend more time probably trying to figure out my fundraising plan for this than I do running. But the community has been amazing. I'm about 70% of my goal, which is like more than I could have imagined. But I just wanted to shout out some of the restaurants that have helped, because I did walk around and ask for community support for raffles. So Tremonti, Ixtapa, the Brickyard, Fortunatos, Pincho, if I said that correctly. So they've been
tapas. If people haven't been there, it's really good tapas. They should go check it out.
And like just talking to them, and then just like each person was like, oh, good luck in this. This is awesome. And I felt like I got so much community support already. But just being understanding, if we're, to be able to share this is like, at the beginning, I thought, oh, I have to ask people for money. I have to fundraise. Oh, can you please donate? But really, it's like you're asking people to be part of something really cool, really big, and they can make a difference. Like, it's a pandemic. We can't probably host a big 500-person event at a hall as much right now, but a lot of it's social media. So if like people see an event and they share it and they share it and they share it, then we might get more people, or we might get more people like wanting to be involved, and it can help them feel good, because again, they're part of this, they're on the journey with us. And people usually, I find, want to give, and they're like, oh yeah, of course, like I'm more than happy. So, and if they can't, they can't. But I think that just allowing us to say, hey, we're spreading the word, and then helping with that, and we really appreciate it. I know I'll plug one thing. On Thursday, 5 to 8 is Blaze Pizza in Burlington. I'm going to have like raffles and little games, and a portion of the proceeds go to Special Olympics of Massachusetts.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to be looking for your bib number so we can see you finish and celebrate that accomplishment. Aside from finishing the race, do you have any goals for yourself around it? I mean, just finishing it is amazing, but
like 11 years ago, I ran a marathon. It was like at the Seattle, it was flat and it was like cool out. So in Boston, I don't really have a time set, and it was a long time ago. So I want to be able to, just keep moving forward, no injuries in my training. And then just having fun and feeling the excitement of the day and meeting that goal and having like, a community of support. So thank you, Samantha. I appreciate that.
I'm so excited for you, and thank you for doing that. Karen, thank you also for joining me. You also are running the Boston Marathon. Tell us how you got roped into this exciting adventure.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. So I'm a lot like Corinne. It was something that I always knew about and dreamed about. I actually grew up in the Midwest, and I ran track in high school. I was a sprinter. I was never a long distance runner. So the Boston Marathon was like, wow, that would be a really neat thing to do, a really big goal. I would love to go to Boston someday. And, it seems like the people that run it are really cool. So I don't know, I just always had it in the back of my mind that it was something that I would love to do someday. But, like Mrs. Genova said, I got married, I had kids, and then all of that just kind of got put on the back burner. And, I've always just been a runner, and running has been my way of like therapy and like a mental release. And I ran a couple of half marathons, and I felt like this year it's like, well, I ran a half marathon. I feel like I'm in a good place mentally and physically, and I think I'm ready to take this on.
Well, that is so exciting. I'm super thrilled. And you are supporting a cause that our viewers know is very near and dear to me, the Red Cross. I hosted a blood drive in honor of my father-in-law a few months ago and had incredible community support in doing that. I know the Red Cross is in sort of crisis situation right now, more so than I've ever seen before. Tell us a little bit about why the Red Cross is so important to you and why you've chosen to run on their behalf.
Yeah, thank you. So the Red Cross is an amazing organization and they are in crisis right now. You know, they do a lot of blood drives and there's a blood shortage. So if you can donate blood or donate to the Red Cross at all, that's going to help them fund their blood drives. But some of the things that the Red Cross does, people might not know about. One of which that's near and dear to my heart that the Red Cross does is they provide a lot of veteran services. So I come from a family of veterans. My husband is a veteran, my father-in-law, my father, my brother, they're all veterans, my uncle, and my son actually just signed up for the Army. So knowing that the Red Cross does a lot for our veterans, I don't know if I mentioned my brother, he's a veteran. It was important to me to do something and give back to the Red Cross. The other thing is my grandma Kay, she was a volunteer for the Red Cross for a very long time. She volunteered for them for 30 years and she actually got her 30-year volunteer pin. So it's a nice way for me to honor her memory while giving back.
I just love that. And thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people don't realize how expensive it is to run a blood drive, which is why the money is so important to the mission that they have, because they do have to pay for staff and equipment. Right. And
it's actually to do one blood drive, it costs the Red Cross $3,500.
Wow. I mean, it's just such an important thing that they do. Thank you so much for sharing. How is your training going? So it is, you said, you felt good physically. Are you training inside or outside?
So I'm like hardy about it. I like to train outside, the colder, the better. I can't stand running in hot weather. So if it's cold, bring it on. I noticed today it was a little windy, so I might hit the treadmill today, but the training's going well. I had a little bit of a setback. I was fighting COVID a couple weeks ago, so I'm fine now, but I'm right back up there. I ran 10 miles on Sunday, so I'm right back on my training plan and, keeping my fingers crossed that there's no injuries or anything like that. The snow and ice is definitely very hard, but I did just order, they're called yak tracks. So you stick them on the bottom of your sneakers and they're supposed to be able to like grip the ice and the snow. So we'll see. But yeah, so far so good.
I just love it. We'll be rooting for you, checking out, seeing, where you end up. Have you set goals for yourself in terms of, getting through it or anything that you want to share out the world so we can help you accountable to it, right?
Well, I want to finish it. That's like the first goal. If I can just finish it and not walk. I had this time in my mind of 4 hours because I can run a half in about 2. So, but I don't know, Boston's very hilly. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be like 4 hours and 30 minutes if I'm lucky.
That's amazing.
Well, we'll see. Who knows? It might end up being 5 hours, but the number one goal is just to finish it. And for my age group to qualify, you have to run it a marathon in 3 hours and 50 minutes. So I'm nowhere near that, which is fine. But my goal is to finish it. And eventually, 5-10 years down the road, I would love to be able to run another marathon and actually qualify for Boston. That would be really cool. But I did just want to mention that, like Mrs. Genova said, that this year it's really special because it's not only it's being run back in April, like in years past. We're finally back to that traditional date on Patriots Day, but it is the 50th anniversary for women. So they just came out with the celebration jacket. You might see a lot of the runners wearing the blue and the yellow jacket. This year it's really cool. And I ordered one. I didn't want to wear it because it could be superstitious. People say not to wear it before you've actually finished the race. But this year it's really neat. They have purple in the jacket to sort of celebrate and honor the 50 years that the women have been allowed to run. And then they have some writing on the sleeve that says celebrate. So I think it's kind of neat, but I digress.
No, it's not a digression. That's fantastic. So for those of you who are watching, when you're out and about in town, if you see these two ladies running, give them a big cheer and clap them along. Thank you both so much. Red Cross and Special Olympics are super important causes. We're so proud and happy to support you. Jen will make sure on the bottom there's graphics for those who want to donate to your run, Karen, or Corinne to your run. Super excited to see you out there celebrating the 50th of women running the race and such an important cause. So thank you for joining me today. And as always, Woburn, please continue to take good care of each other.